Greetings everyone, my name is Dominic and today you're tuning in to the Comic Book Report, where we review comic books and graphic novels so you can get an idea of what to read. And today I've prepared another quick list video for all of you. We're going to be talking about 5 Marvel Omnibuses that captivate. So these are all books I'm actually currently reading or have just finished out. A lot of my recent reads and books that have really drawn my attention of late. I can't wait to showcase a lot of these titles. Some of them are recent reprints and some of them have just made the way to the top of my reading list lately. At any rate, I can't wait to dive in today. Before we do though, I'd like to just shout out the channel's sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com. If you're looking to pick up your own comic book collected editions, perhaps even some that are showcased in this video, I highly encourage you to check out their website. You can find a link for it in this video's description, and if you see anything there you like, you can actually use my discount code at checkout, TheComicBookReport, to save $2 off of your order. Please note if you use my affiliate link or code to make a purchase, I will earn a small commission, but it's a fantastic way to support this channel. Thank you so much for considering. Now let's go ahead and get started with today's list. Kicking off this list in no particular order, we have the New Avengers Omnibus Volume 1 by Brian Michael Bendis, of course from Marvel Comics. So this is the 2025 reprint of this Marvel title. I used to have an older printing some time ago. I did sell it when I thought I was getting out of comic book collecting several years ago, and this is always a book I hope to have back in my collection. The first time I had it, I actually didn't finish reading it, and now I'm so eager to do so now that I have it back in the collection. If you've been a follower of this channel for some time, you might know I am a huge fan of Brian Michael Bendis, and I really do like his approach to the New Avengers. I have not completed this run in the past, but I have loved every issue that I've read thus far, just about, and it's a really fun starting point for this team. One of the things I like about this omnibus is it actually starts with the Avengers disassembled storyline that happened around issue 500, I believe. These are the couple issues I actually thought would be at the beginning of the House of M omnibus, but sadly they were not included in that omnibus. But I'm happy to see them here, and certainly if you're a fan of House of M or that entire era of the Marvel Universe, this is a good companion piece because it is running about concurrently, at least in the beginning of the book. Avengers Disassembled really does have to do with kind of the dissolution of the main Avengers lineup, and that really sets the stage for what we have here, which is the formation of the titular New Avengers. What I like about the New Avengers too is we have some old favorites, some long-serving members of the Avengers, but we have a couple first-timers, and we have some great inclusions in this new team. I don't really want to spoil too much of that in this video, but when I go ahead and review this omnibus sometime later this year, I hope to really spend more time unpacking it, going over the new roster, and just how many ways I really like this run so far. What is really exciting for me though, after the Avengers Disassembled storyline, we pretty much jump into the first story for New Avengers, which is this big prison breakout kind of story. I think it really goes off to the races with a really striking introduction for this new team. The formation feels natural, necessary, and it's just high-octane adventure. I love the way Bendis does these characters and how he adjusts the roster. It just really works for me. The artist we have attached to this run too is just phenomenal. We have so many different artists, but I know David Finch is among them. He's one of my favorite comic book artists. So seeing what him and Bendis do on the book in particular is a real treat for me. I really hope we do get a volume 2 for this run. This has been reprinted now and we still have not gotten a volume 2, so fingers crossed we do get that sometime in the near future. Why I think this collection is so captivating is simply put, it is like a summer blockbuster popcorn kind of movie. We have so many great action sequences, we have so many great like cinematic scene dressings and setups with everything. The characterization is all right there, and like I said, I like that we get a good mix between long-standing Avengers members and brand new people inducted into the famous team. Don't miss out on the New Avengers. Next up on our list today for Marvel Omnibuses that have been captivating me, I have to talk about the Death of Wolverine Omnibus. Now this is a very recent release at the time of the recording, and as the title may suggest, this omnibus is all wrapped around the event of Death of Wolverine. But one of the things I like most about this omnibus so far, in addition to of course having that main miniseries that deals with the death of, we also have all of the preceding Wolverine arcs that occur within the year or two leading up to Death of Wolverine, along with a lot of great tie-in issues from kind of adjacent X or mutant series, and I think that that's a really fun way to compile this book. This is kind of an event Omnibus, but it feels like more than that. It feels like a modern Wolverine run omnibus, and it collects things in oversized format I frankly have not read before. In fact, of this omnibus, I think I've only really read the main Death of Wolverine miniseries, and now of course I've gone through the beginning of this omnibus itself, and yeah, overall I'm really excited. I'm a huge fan of Wolverine, and I have tried to pick up a lot of X-Men or Wolverine based omnibuses in recent years. When I heard this was first solicited, I had a feeling this would be one I really wanted to aim to get and save up for, and honestly I really didn't regret it. This book is really fun so far, and I can't wait to do a full review once I complete the omnibus. I don't think that these are maybe the best Wolverine stories I've ever read, but I really do like the Death of Wolverine main miniseries, and reading how he got to that point for the first time with all of these Wolverine issues leading up to that event, it's been a real delight for me, and I get to see aspects of Wolverine's character, or how he faces off some of his most evil foes, maybe a little bit less than his full self. I just think it's a really fun and dramatic time in the history of this character. Now, again, for main Wolverine content, I'm a sucker for his early solo stuff, the Frank Miller, Chris Claremont stuff, the Larry Hama stuff, the Mark Silvestri stuff, and of course all his time on Claremont's Uncanny X-Men. I think that those are some of the highlight reel for me. Most recently, I also read Uncanny X-Force from Rick Remender, of which he was a big part. But again, outside of those issues, it's really fun to read a more modern Wolverine story or two, and there are aspects that these writers and creators bring to this character that I really haven't seen replicated outside of this little bubble of time. So I really am happy we have it collected in this omnibus format, and I hope this just means we'll get more and more Wolverine omnibuses going into the future. I think that this is a captivating read, again, just because it follows one of my favorite characters in a chapter in his life that's really important and maybe under-collected in many ways, so I was definitely happy to see this come out. Have you been reading the Death of Wolverine omnibus? I'd love to get your thoughts on that, or if you've read this period in Wolverine's history before, love to get some more feedback on it. Like I said, so far I'm really enjoying the ride, but I'd be curious to hear what all of you think out there. Are you a fan of Wolverine at all in general? Anyway, let me know. I'm definitely a big one. Okay, the next captivating Marvel Omnibus I wanted to talk about today is Captain Marvel Genis-Vell Omnibus. Now, this is the Peter David run on Captain Marvel. I think this was coming out maybe late 90s, early 2000s, if I'm not mistaken. I might be off by a couple years. But yes, this is the Genis-Vell run on Captain Marvel. That's the son of that first Captain Marvel from way back in the day. Another huge character during this omnibus is Rick Jones. Without spoiling too much, there is a huge connection between Genis-Vell and Rick Jones throughout this omnibus, but this is a really fun time. Ever since I first started reading Peter David's 90s run on X Factor, I've become kind of a big Peter David fan. I'm still making my way through a lot of his different works, like I'm enjoying Spider-Man 2099, or the later X Factor investigation era. I've read some of his Aquaman recently. I still have to get more into his Hulk run. I know that's one of the crowning jewels in the Peter David bibliography, but at any rate, this was a title I really hadn't heard much at all about until it was released. After this omnibus came out, I started to watch some reviews on it, and I started to hear more consensus that this was a real hidden gem that not as many people talk about these days, but I'm really happy it got an omnibus treatment and went on my radar, and then actually my wife got it for me as a gift, which was a huge blessing. And reading it, I could see why it's so much fun and why it's kind of a cult or fan favorite. This, like so many other Peter David works, has touches of his humor, action, great characters. The kind of 90s or early 2000s comic art, largely by Chris Cross, are pretty solid throughout this. But yeah, it's a really offbeat kind of cosmic Marvel book. Rick Jones has never been funnier to me. His connection to the kind of cosmic world of Marvel, I think, is really fun. If you like something that's a little bit off the beaten path of the standard kind of New York scene comic book heroes, this might be up your alley. You don't really need to know too much about these characters to pick up this omnibus. I think they do a good job of filling in the gaps for you, like the legacy of Captain Marvel, Rick Jones's ties to everything, and just the notable kind of cosmic Marvel characters you might need to know. Like I said, I think Peter David does a good job of filling you in with what you need, but right away you get kind of into the rhythm of what he wants to do with these characters. Like I said, the art throughout it is gorgeous, and I'm always compelled reading this because it's unlike a lot of other Marvel books I've been reading. Like I said, I like to dabble in the cosmic side of the Marvel universe here and there, and this is a really light and comedic entry for the most part. There are some tense and dramatic moments too, of course, but Peter David just has a really fun, offbeat sense of humor that he instills in so much of his work, and I like that this run maybe is slightly off the beaten path, but still so embedded in the Marvel Universe in general. It really is a striking run, and I can't wait to finish this out as well. Like the other books in this video, I would like to hear, have you been reading Captain Marvel Genis-Vell? Have you ever read the Peter David run on Captain Marvel? I'd love to get feedback on that. And hey, while I've got you, if you've been watching this video and you've yet to subscribe to the channel, I would just like to invite you to do so. I'm always doing comic book list videos like this, reviews, unboxings, and more. Anyway, thank you for considering. Now on with the show. Okay, next on the list today is a book I don't hear enough people talk about. This is The Amazing Spider-Man Beyond Omnibus. For those wondering, this does occur after the Amazing Spider-Man run by Nick Spencer. That's all collected across a 2-volume omnibus set. Anyway, directly after that, we have this Beyond era, and this bridges the gap into the Zeb Wells era of Spider-Man. I know that this is a time that's really controversial in modern comics Spider-Man history, but this was a run that I felt like I didn't know a ton about. Honestly, I heard stuff about Nick Spencer, I heard stuff about Zeb Wells' run, and I really didn't hear enough about this little bridge title. A couple things that I want to talk about with Spider-Man Beyond. I'm going to go really light on spoilers, but this has a return of kind of a fan favorite Spider-Man character. So this is light spoilers, just a heads up, but basically a primary character in this run is actually Ben Reilly, the clone Spider. I won't really go into how he's utilized, but he is a very prominent player throughout this whole run. Another thing about this run I find really novel is that we have so many different writers and artists attached to it. It really is just kind of a collective at this point. It's not really a single writer or artist. We have so many jumbling back and forth, but we have a lot of great little story arcs here. If you're a fan of Ben Reilly, this run does take some interesting swings, but overall it was good to see Ben back in the saddle. I also like how they treated Peter Parker in this run overall. His secondary cast of characters, Black Cat, Mary Jane, Aunt May, and so many more make some great appearances and notes, I think, throughout this. The art, we have so many great artists. We have some great villains like Kraven and the Lizard, Morbius, and more. We have kind of an arguably villainous organization. Are they a good organization? Are they a bad one? I don't know. You'll have to see. But there's a lot of things at play here, and I really enjoyed it. Honestly, I didn't really hear a ton of positive reviews or praise about this run, but having read it myself, I found a lot to really enjoy. I don't know if I'm in the minority here, but I really was delighted with this book. It was really hard to put down for me. It was really well paced, interesting. The characters always caught my attention. The art was always striking. And this is one I actually just completed recently. I found it that captivating. I actually finished this one. So I do expect to do a full review of this book on my channel in the coming weeks. So if you'd like to see that, definitely stay tuned, stay subscribed, get those notifications, because I can't wait to talk more extensively about Spider-Man Beyond. I am curious to see what happens in the Zeb Wells era. I haven't really ventured forth into that. I know that has a lot of kind of polarizing thoughts and reviews as well. But honestly, I heard the same about this, and I liked it, so I guess we'll see what happens in the future. I also still want to finish out the Nick Spencer era. I have those omnibuses. They're beautiful, and it's been so fun to read through it, but I have not completed that yet. So yes, I did read this a bit out of order, but I do think that this also reads really self-contained, this Beyond Omnibus. So yeah, definitely recommend it. For me, I thought it was really interesting, captivating, you could say. But yeah, this was a recent read that I had a lot of fun with, and I can't wait to talk about more. Okay, and rounding out our list today of great captivating Marvel omnibuses, this is Thor by J. Michael Staczynski and Kieron Gillen Omnibus. Now this omnibus I believe was released in 2024, and it's not quite a reprint, kind of like the Immortal Iron Fist Omnibus from Brubaker and Beyond. This omnibus was initially just a Thor by JMS omnibus, but when they went to reprint it, they added more issues from Kieron Gillen and made it kind of a broader, more inclusive omnibus that was quite a bit larger than the original just JMS run. I am still going through this, but this is easily one of my more favorite modern incarnations of Thor. I think it's really fun. This is the run that kind of returned Thor to us after being missing for quite a while. I'm a huge fan of JMS after reading his Spider-Man run many years ago, and this is really kind of a fun run. I've heard really good things about it. I've read a couple of the other modern runs or part of them, but this was one I kept hearing was a really good time, and they weren't wrong. Every review I heard talking about how fun this series is, they really did do it justice. This is another book that's captivating and hard to put down. Like many of the other great Thor runs, there is a huge fantasy element to this run. We don't just have a superhero, we have a kind of fantasy icon. We have some great world building. There's also a lot of playfulness with the Thor mythos here. I like that this is a decisively new chapter for him and his cast of characters. In fact, how JMS chooses to bring all of the Thor kind of Norse characters back, I think is really novel and interesting. How they juxtapose with modern day America is really fascinating. I don't want to spoil too much in this video, but I think that there was a lot of playfulness and intriguing kind of twists and turns there. This run does lead right into the run by Matt Fraction. I did review that some time ago on the channel, so there is the added wrinkle of reading issues that kind of set up things that would later happen in Matt Fraction's run that I also am really enjoying reading through this. I think after having this recommended to me for so many years, I know this particular omnibus just came out, but this run in general being recommended so often. Anyway, after getting that for so long, it is fun and gratifying to finally be reading through it myself. The art throughout this collection, as you've probably been seeing, is also visually stunning. It's a beautiful, beautiful collection. I actually can't believe some of the amazing artists we have attached to this run. I've really been noticing a lot of these modern Thor runs attract some really incredible artists in this industry, and yeah, this is definitely no exception there. But yeah, this is a really fun run. I think if you've been a fan of the Spider-Man JMS run, this is obviously something very different, but you still get a lot of solid writing from him. I'm now at the point where I'm getting into the Kieron Gillen era, or pretty close to it. Gillen's a writer I also quite enjoy, so I'm eager to see what he adds to the kind of mythos that JMS has been doing here. But so far, so good. This is definitely an omnibus I got as a gift, and I was delighted to get it. Thanks again. But this is one I can't wait to talk about more extensively on the channel. So if you're interested in that, this is one that's probably coming soon as well as I'm wrapping it up. But easily another really huge page turner that has been very hard to put down. Okay, and that's going to begin to wrap up our video of 5 Marvel Omnibuses that are captivating. Yes, a lot of these have been recent reads, ones that have been currently capturing my attention, but frankly, I also thought it would be a good way to showcase a lot of my recent reads that I've really enjoyed making my way through. I also thought it would be a fun way to sample books that I plan on doing full reviews for in the coming weeks and months. So if you're interested, there's definitely more Marvel Omnibus reviews coming. I'd love to hear in the comments section, though, what are some Marvel comic runs that you find captivating or really attention holding? What are the biggest page turners in the Marvel universe for you recently, or collections you've been reading, or even some DC runs? Are there DC omnibuses you feel like are big page turners? Would you like to see me do a similar video for DC titles? Let me know all or any of that information in the comments section. I always love hearing from you guys. I also always love great comic book recommendations for myself and the other people in the community that read through these comments. I'd also like to know, have you been reading any of these books? Have they been populating your library? I'd just like to hear some other people that have read through some of these runs. Like I said, I've been having a blast with each and every one of these titles. Can't wait to talk about them more. But again, as always, a huge thank you for everyone making it this far. Thank you for watching these videos and bearing with me for these lists. I'm still having a ton of fun putting them together, so I really hope you're still enjoying them. Anyway, thanks everyone, and until next time, this has been the Comic Book Report. Please don't forget to leave your like, that comment we talked about, and maybe share this video with a friend. Thanks everyone, bye.